Hey everybody, it's Laurie-Ann. I am down in Florida. As you probably noticed, the background looks a little bit different. While people start to jump on, because there's always that fun delay, I'm just going to be sharing this in my private Facebook group that maybe you're a part of, um, or and a couple of other groups. And we are going to be talking about email today and growing your audience. So this is actually going to be a lot of fun because I wanted to share with you one way that I've been growing my email list and audience, and I've gotten a lot of great compliments from it. Okay, let's see. Here we go. So give me 1 second. And if you're hopping on, love to know where you are watching from. Let's see, share. Mm-hmm. Let's see. And hope everybody is doing super well. Okay, I just sent it to a couple of groups, nothing much. But hey, I'm just going to put that down right over there. So first, before I get started, I want to tell you about a free training that is coming up. And this is going to be a great one. It's called Get Booked, February 11th for 1 week. I'm going to give you the 5 steps, which happens to be my exact process, how I've been getting booked for years. And I'm going to teach you exactly this process because once upon a time I heard no constantly. And if you are just starting out speaking or you're just wondering how to break into speaking, you're new in your business and you have decided that, hey, like Laurie-Ann, I want to start using speaking. This training is perfect for you. But I also want to tell you that if you're at the back of your mind saying, yeah, but I'm super shy, I can't speak. Yeah, guess what? This girl, formerly painfully shy girl who couldn't even make eye contact with people. That's right. I was one of those people who just looked down at the floor and considered myself to be an expert in tile floors and sneakers more than looking in people's eyes. And I went from that to walking on stages and speaking in front of hundreds and thousands of people. So it's a learned skill. And the first step, because I constantly hear this question all the time, is how do I get started? How do you get booked? How do you pitch yourself? You're going to learn all that stuff in the free training. So there's the bit.ly/GB for Get Booked training. So sign up today so that you're a part of that. We are starting February 11th. So let's kind of talk about email. Email is email is just where your audience is. It's how you engage with people one-on-one. And this really can be a lifeline. I was just at a meeting over the weekend and I heard, somebody saying, yeah, but this social media platform's where I get all of my clients and it's working really, really well for me. And that's fabulous. But when I hear people say that, most of the social media accounts and platforms that I am very aware of that are very, very popular, they don't cost anything. And when you don't pay for something, you're not a customer, you're a user. And when you're a user, you're at the mercy of whoever owns that platform. So you can get shut down at any time. So to be able to take people from that and make sure you get their contact information so that you always have that. So you've heard lots of different ways, to grow your email list. From putting it on your website, having some sort of a pop-up. I'm sure that you've even got a link to a freebie that's in your bio. I know that I do. That's in your bio, on your Facebook, on my private Facebook group, on my business page, and those are just 3 Facebook places, but also via Instagram and the Pinterest and the other social media platforms that I'm on as well. But here's one that I don't see a lot of people using, and it's one that I started using several months ago. And one, it's helped me grow my list, helped me engage with my audience a lot easier, and I've gotten a huge number of compliments on it. And that is when people connect with me on these different social media platforms. I actually go out of my way and I send people a message on Facebook that says, hey, thanks. Thank you for connecting with me here. And here's a little bit about myself. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you. And here's what I do, and here's how I help people. And then like in the PS, I said like, hey, I also have a private Facebook group. If you're interested, here's the link. And it makes people feel warm and fuzzy. And that's the point. I mean, that's what social media is all about, is to make people feel warm and fuzzy. So from there, they then go to my Facebook group. And in my private Facebook group, I asked them like 3 different questions. And one of them is their email address. Are they using speaking, and what do they find most frustrating? What's the challenge that they're having right now in their business? And whether they answer the questions or not, they still get another warm and fuzzy email. And sometimes that warm and fuzzy email is actually the first time, because a lot of people are seeing me on social media platforms and they're finding, my business page before they find my personal page, or they're finding my private Facebook group, which is Entrepreneurs Making an Impact. And that's how they're first getting in contact with me. So there's this warm and fuzzy again that says, hey, thanks for joining. Love to learn a little bit more about you. Here's who I am, and here's what I do. And if they gave me their email address, I then have a link to here's the freebie that I promised you. If they don't give me their email address, here's the link. Here's a resource. And so here's the link to a resource that I think you might find helpful. And that's where they would go to my lead pages opt-in. Now, another way, so that doesn't always work, so there's another way. And remember, like, marketing is all about repetition. They need to see the link, and then they might finally say, yeah. So once a week, I welcome all the new members to the group. And in that email, in that Facebook post, in that Facebook post, it's like, hey, everybody, let's welcome these people. And I have a very engaged private Facebook group, and a lot of my members are out there just chit-chatting and welcoming in the new members. But in that post, there's also hey, don't forget to grab your free resource. I'm getting a little tongue-tied here, which is your directory of places to speak. And again, that link takes them to my lead pages opt-in. And so that's a way that I've just been very organically growing my email list. And then they go from there, they go into it's 5 or 7 emails, that initial funnel that just helps people get to know me, who I am, and ask them some questions. And also in those initial emails, I also share with them some of the myths that I see out there about speaking, like only extroverts are speakers. That's not true. Some of the best speakers that I know are introverts, like myself, are painfully shy people who actually prefer to be by themselves. So that's just one way to be growing your email list. So let's say that you're speaking. It's how do you grow your email list speaking? Well, once upon a time, and before we had, where you could text to join a list or get an opt-in right away. Before that, there was actually, that thing called paper and pencil. And, we as speakers would actually either have a place in the back that would sign up, or you'd pass around a couple of clipboards for people to actually sign, to join your list. Things have gotten much more sophisticated now, and now you can offer people, hey, if you give me your business card, I can send, these are some low cost, super easy ways that aren't very intrusive. You can just ask for people's business card, And you would tell them, like I tell them, like, if you want this particular white paper that I wrote, this research paper, some information, some great tips, just put an E on your business card. Or you can even E for the email, or a PDF. That's another one that I've used a lot, depending on the size of the group that I'm speaking to. And then you just collect all the business cards. Another great way to build your email list is you can have a raffle. And you use people's business cards, to raffle off. In my case, I've written a couple of books and several workbooks on leadership and emotional intelligence. So I would use those items to raffle off. But some other things that you could raffle off is like a 30-minute session, a consultation, some sort of an audit, etc. You just have to look through all the different offers that you have and what can you give somebody. That would pick something that would spark some interest. Maybe not necessarily your high-end last first advanced step, but find something that's in the beginning process. Like that consultation, like some sort of an audit, those first couple of steps that your customers might take with you. So let me know if you're finding this helpful. Would love to know, if you're watching this, what are some of the ways that you are organically or very aggressively growing your email list? A couple of other ideas that I use are depending on what a blog post is about. I try to have my blogs are written typically in certain categories, and the reason why I pick certain categories, here's what I write about, if you think about getting booked, what the training is going to be about. So any blog that I write about, how do you pitch yourself? How do you get booked? How do you find associations, meetings? What do you say to meeting planners? That would all in that, at the bottom of that blog would be hey, you might be interested in this particular, a checklist, a PDF, so that it just, it helps them take the next step in that particular category. Now, another category that I might write about is building your business. So then there might be something else at the bottom of that particular blog post regarding building your business. Could be something like what we're talking about here today, about maybe your email list. Another topic that I'll write a lot about is selling from the stage. And selling from the stage would also include your presentation. So there'll be all of these different items that I would have at the bottom. And this way, I know what my customers, my clients, my audience is really interested in. And it's just information. And you take that information, it's hey, maybe I should start writing a little bit more about the presentation. Maybe I should start writing more about how do you pitch from the stage, or from a podcast guest, or some sort of a summit, without coming across as being a sleazy salesperson. And there's a way to do that in such an effortless way. So let's see, another way, if you are on either a virtual summit, if it happens to be, a video of you, there are different ways that you can just include, your sign up page, whatever it is that you are selling or you want to get people on your email list. And I'm trying to think of, if you've got a long domain name, I highly recommend, and I tell all of my clients to do this also, is to use a bit.ly, some sort of a short link. I personally use bit.ly, and one of the reasons why I like them is because, I'm using the app and can easily customize. And if it's something I'm responding to a Facebook post for somebody, and it's really easy for me to remember, I know what the domain name is if somebody wants to sit down and have a video chat with me, wants to have a discovery call, wants to learn more about my programs. That's super easy for me to remember. I can't remember the long, I use Acuity. I can't remember the long Acuity, domain, but I certainly can remember it's bit.ly/chat with LA, all lowercase. So let's see, another fabulous way to grow your email list, and especially if you're speaking for somebody who's like, like you can't pitch to the audience. We don't want any pitching. And you'll find that that does happen with a number of organizations who don't pay their speakers, but also because they've had a bad experience once upon a time. And I can tell you that there is a global organization that it's a civic service based organization that's very large, and I have sold so many books at their meetings. And so even if somebody says like no selling, no pitching, there's always a way around it actually. And that one I'll save for another time. And I just want to let you know, if you've got any questions, please feel free to just type in your questions. If you are watching the replay, I will be sure to come back later and I answer everybody's question. So another great way, if you are speaking in person or you're doing some sort of like a webinar, and like how do you grow that list? Especially if you're a guest, a QRS code that people can easily scan. And so here's the benefit to that is that the host, whoever, brought you in there, there's no domain name. There's no domain name, for them to suspect that you are selling something. And people are going to have to actively scan the code. And that code can take them to some sort of a great opt-in. Here are my services. Here's a great way to get a free consult with me, etc. That's another, I've used that one a number of times, and that one works super well also. And also having that QRS code, like maybe on, any of your information or some, even your business card. I know business card, like what's that? A lot of people are not using business cards these days. I still use them because I run into people who still ask, do you have a card? Especially when they learn about who I am and what I do. As a matter of fact, I'm down here in Florida and at a meeting, a couple of women came up to me, just to say hi, and, we were networking. And when they learned about what I did, it was like, do you have a card? I would really like to speak with you. So that's a couple of ways, to grow your email list. I think about like your email list, like I know I'm seeing a lot of entrepreneurs, online business owners, online business coaches who aren't actively growing their email list. And I want to encourage you to continue to actively grow your email list, because as much as like, you're on Facebook, Facebook can shut you down. You're now with ManyChats, that can be shut down. There's so many different ways, and as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you've got to have those multiple ways of reaching people, reaching your audience and growing your audience. And the other thing that I want to say about email is that, I have a number of lists. And one of my lists I started years ago, and it's called an Inspiring Leadership Quotes. And that's what I internally name it. And it's a quote, either mine or somebody else's, that goes out every single week. Typically, you'll find that it's going to go out on Mondays, unless there's a U.S. holiday, in which case the email will probably go out on Tuesday. So there are certain holidays that I have to, kind of like work around. This past, holiday season, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, was on a particular day that interfered, and I wanted to make sure that I had the best open rates. So I always edit that. But one of the things that I want to encourage you, these are 52 that quotes or my quotes. And then it's a short and sweet email about my take on it and how can my audience, how can they use that? But more importantly, I always ask them a question. Whether it's, hey, try this and let me know how it works. I'm trying to engage that conversation with my email list, just like you're probably doing, this is a Facebook Live, and this is going to go from Facebook right onto YouTube, so that I have a number of ideas for people, different ways for people to hear me, to learn from me, but also to reach people where they are. So regarding this inspiring leadership quotes, I just want to tell you, I have gotten hired to speak so many times because somebody who receives that email is part of a committee. The opening line that I hear so much is somebody on our committee is on your email list and recommended you. That happens all the time. And it's very flattering, and then that starts the conversation. And chances are that person who's on that email list saw me speak somewhere. Now, this takes, you can either sit down all at once and write 52 emails that are short, sweet, and to the point, so that you could have something like this that goes out weekly. And the fun part about that, and I heard, somebody that's big in marketing once say this, that he didn't care if nobody read that email, the one, like the one that goes out weekly. And you're probably thinking, like, what? Like, why would anybody say that? Well, especially if they've already gone through all of the quotes for that year. But my name shows up in their email box. And so it says Laurie-Ann Mirabito, along with a title. And I take that, like that's like a reminder. That's like a FedEx package, or an FedEx envelope showing up at your doorstep. It gets your attention. And that's what you want to concentrate on. It gets their attention. So I'm okay if somebody doesn't read the email. I'm okay if they don't respond to my question. I love it when people do, and I always make it a point to respond to anybody who responds to replies to any of my emails, my newsletters, the inspiring leadership quotes, because I want to encourage people that I'm the person who actually is responding to them. I want them to know that if they send me an email, they're going to get something back. And I've gotten some very long emails. I think if she's watching this, she'll know that I'm kind of talking about her, because she sends me, she really does. I've got a lot of people who actually apply what I write in these emails, and they always let me know how they did. So those are some of my tips that a lot of people are overlooking to grow your audience, overlooking to grow your email or your Facebook group. If you have a Facebook group, if you're one of my private clients, then I probably have shared with you, the emails, the messages that I send out to people who connect with me on Facebook personally, and then also people who sign up for my private Facebook group. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the challenge that's coming up. So the green link that's in the upper corner, bit.ly/GB training, which is get booked. I am going to spend a week sharing with you exactly my process for getting booked. How do you find those places? There's over 215,000, thousand of speaking events every single month. And that's just here in the US. There's lots of other countries, and they've got, I've tried to look up what's the global, how many meetings happen every single month or every single week globally. And I've yet to find that information. And there's so many opportunity out there for you to get positioned, but you want to make sure that you're speaking in front of the right audience. And that's part of the training is, where does your ideal client hang out? What are the right audiences? How do you find the right person to pitch yourself to? Because unfortunately, when you start looking up the conference or the organization, sometimes it doesn't actually say meeting planner. That would make it so easy. And sometimes it's just a general, info at, such and such an organization. So how do you find out who the right person is to email to? Well, how do you know, what exactly to say for them to say, yes, we want you? How do you look like a pro if this is your very first time? Or maybe all the speaking that you've done has all been by invite, and you don't know how to turn each event into more events. That's part of what I'm going to be teaching you. February 11th. So you want to go and sign up, and it's going to be a fun training. There's going to be video trainings. There's going to be some worksheets that you can put it all together, be like a great workbook by the end of the week, and also live Q&A. I will be answering all your questions, whether you can make the Q&A video calls or not. Don't worry, there's going to be a way for you to submit all of your questions. It's going to be a ton of fun, and you're going to get a ton of information. And I'm actually going to have some sort of a contest to see, because in that week time, I want you to actually send out emails. By the end of the week, you should have your emails to send out to people. And from there, like, I want to see you guys get booked. And you know that I'm a huge advocate. Even if you're totally shy, don't worry. You can be just like me. There's no speaker DNA, so you're not missing anything. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Again, this is Laurie-Ann Mirabito. Thanks for starting off the week with me right here, Mondays at noon Eastern Standard Time. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.